yeah, victory week. Did you see the Eagles? Did you see them? Someone on this show thinks that Howard Roseman deserves an apology. We'll talk about that. And did you see the Phillies this weekend? Disgrace. Well, we're going to get into it. More than Philly in the house. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network. It's awesome to be back with all of you today on this fine Victory Tuesday, the 14th of September in the year 2021, 6:03 p.m. here on the East Coast. We have a very exciting show in store for everyone today, and it's frankly my favorite part of the year. Of course, big golfer. The fall weather is amazing to be able to play in. The conditions on the grass is very easy. Of course, playoff baseball, even though we don't tend to see a team here play in the playoffs, is always fun to watch. Basketball is getting started up, hockey is getting started up, preseason and more. And of course, the NFL is officially underway in week one. It's time for week one overreactions. It's time for week one celebrations. It's time for everything in between. First things first, Gavin, let's dive into it because we only enjoyed 4 victories last year. The Philadelphia Eagles came out on Sunday, and I had them predicted to lose a close one.
He did.
Absolutely annihilated the Atlanta Falcons in every aspect of the game. I was beyond impressed, but I'm not shocked, and here's why. This is a young team, and young teams are full of energy. And if they get off to a hot start in the game and they're able to hold on to a lead and make it bigger, then they're able to do anything virtually with their age. They're not getting too tired. They're not getting fatigued. They're not getting hurt. It's exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles needed to start this season because this next couple of weeks is a tough stretch, including the Chiefs, the Niners, the Buccaneers, the Cowboys coming up in 2 weeks on Monday Night Football, which I think the Eagles could potentially beat. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to overreact this week. The Eagles looked great. I have not at all offseason questioned Jalen Hurts' ability to be the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Once Carson Wentz was traded, I said Hurts is our guy. I've always noticed something about him, his confidence, his poise. I knew he'd get better, and I knew he'd be good. My concerns come in the wide receiver core. It's very young. However, this week it looked talented. I don't know how it will be against a real defense. No offense to Atlanta. It's still an NFL team. But there's a lot to be diagnosed still. And, of course, the O-line's health is important. I said this to you before, Gavin. I said the offensive line's health is the most important thing. The run-pass balance was great. The play calling was I didn't really notice it too much. That's how kind of simple it was and good enough to where you said to yourself, well, that didn't work. There were a few plays that made me scratch my head saying, all right, well, that was just not schemed at all correctly. But here's one part that I've been very high on in the offseason. It was the defense. Anthony Harris came in. A couple other guys came in that were just really talented. Kayvon Wallace expected to have a breakout year. Steven Nelson, of course, Darius Slay back for another go at it. It's been phenomenal. It's been spectacular. And it got proved against a pretty good offense, I'd say, in the Atlanta Falcons, at least in the past. Calvin really limited to 5 or 6 catches, I believe. Matt Ryan, 174 yards, a very un-Matt Ryan. Like I know, Gavin, you are not high on Matt Ryan at all. Again, bottom line is this. The Falcons aren't good. It doesn't discredit the Eagles' ability to win the game because they crushed the Falcons. It was the largest margin of victory since the NFC Championship game in January of 2018. That is crazy.
Were you there for that?
I was not there for that. My brother was. Brother and cousin. So this game showed some of the cards the Eagles have. And very quickly they got respected. Jalen Hurts has become the second highest selling jersey. Devontae Smith had a great start to the season. And no turnovers, which was pretty harmful last year to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the honeymoon phase. It's all nice. It's all happy. The guitar playing, handshake on the sideline between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. It's fun for now. But we need to take this one week at a time. We need to see how this team competes against other teams. And I said this before the season started, I believe a few times on the show as well. This isn't a bad team, but they're young and inexperienced. And what you're going to see is a lot of close, heartbreaking losses, the same way that the LA Chargers experienced last year. The defense actually isn't young. The defense is very good, veteran, and older, and could be top 10 this year, should be top 10 this year. Early in the game, they looked pretty mediocre. In the red zone, they did a great job, which I love to see twice. And then the rest of the game, they just took over completely. That's the game plan. If the offense can get 1 or 2 touchdowns and the run game can get virtually eliminated from the Atlanta Falcons or any opponent they're playing, the Eagles put themselves in a good position every week for the offense to be able to win the game. Another thing that I've said before that holds true. The Eagles have put Jalen Hurts in a position where the team is as good as he plays. And if you're a franchise quarterback, that's all that you could ask for. And finally, my last point, this is the worst division in football. So I don't want to get excited. I'm not going to get excited. I'm gonna stay very blunt this season. All right. After last season, it was a very humbling experience for me as an Eagles fan who has been used to, for the last few years, a very high, good team. I'm going to stay semi-pessimistic and realistic this year. But there's talent on this team. It's not often that a team this young is able to make loud noise in the playoffs. I'm not saying that they can. I mean, this is the year that quarterbacks emerged their second year, although Hurts only had a few games last year. But he's definitely not a rookie. So I'll wrap it up with that. I expect a lot of close losses to hopefully good teams this year to show some hope. And I know that there's a lot of other things. Nick Sirianni's hiring, Howie Roseman decision-making. We're going to debate that in a minute. But, Gavin, some first thoughts overall from the Eagles game this weekend.
First of all, Zach, before I get into my points, when do we give his name back? It's still Howard the last time I checked, sir. We have to debate that if he gets his name back. But, Zach, my overall thought of this weekend was it just felt nice. For once not to be mad at the screen. The offense looked fun to watch. It was
relaxing.
It was relaxing. That's what I want to use. It was relaxing. Now, Zach, let's go through it. The only thing that I have a problem with offensively was just the offensive line. The discipline, the undiscipline from these guys in the penalties. I think it was 4. I counted 3 on one drive. It was between holding.
Yeah, 14 total penalties for 89 yards, which isn't terrible, but 14 is a bad number.
And Zach, I'm gonna give one back to Lane Johnson. I don't agree with the illegal men downfield. I mean, it's hard. It's the red zone. How far can he really be? So I disagree with that one. But that's neither here nor there. But the offense looked phenomenal. Zach, Jalen Hurts did not turn over the ball, not once. And he was 27 to 35, 264, 3 touchdowns. 62 on the ground, averaged 8.9 yards per rush on 7 attempts. Zach, the whole rushing distance total between Miles Sanders, Hurts, and Kenny Gainwell, who I like, 107 yards in total. And the one thing that I bring that up is, Zach, what is one thing you emphasize the most?
And I was just going to point it out. One thing I said, Gavin, the magic number 25 times. They ran the ball 31 times on Sunday. 31 times on Sunday.
Zach, it doesn't get any better than that. And I like what I see. It's like it reminds me, Nick Sirianni brought the Colts offense to here. And what I mean by that is you're seeing a lot of running. You're seeing a lot of quick plays, the things that worked for Phillip Old Rivers last year. And Zach, Devontae Smith was just amazing to watch. This brother is a pure route runner, and he gets open, and that ball, his touchdown catch, he was wide open.
Perfect throw, too. That was not an easy throw.
These guys, and you're exactly right. Jalen Hurts they're going to play as well as he plays. But I'll take it one step further. Health is going to be a big factor, Zach. We haven't been healthy in the past 2 years, two and a half years. So keep Jalen Hurts upright. Everyone stays healthy. And this team is going to be fun to watch, Zach. There's going to be games to lose. I don't expect them to compete with Kansas City. I mean, Zach, we saw what happened to the Browns. I mean, you can't make this up. And I don't expect them I expect them to beat the Cowboys. I mean, I expect them to beat Washington with Taylor Heineke at the quarterback. I mean, I guess it might be Nick Foles or Cam Newton. I expect them to beat the division. And ladies and gentlemen, I know I didn't name the Giants, but I mean, Zach, did you see it? Do I have to?
They got to beat the teams that are worse than them this year, and I think that they're going to do that. I just don't know how much better they're going to be. I will say this though, a name to keep an eye out for is Allen Robinson, who has his money in Chicago and could potentially become displeased. Keep an eye on his name at the trade deadline for Philly if the Eagles are going in the right direction but feel they need a veteran wide receiver. I know Justin Fields coming in. The Bears are a mess. I'm going to say this. I don't want to have a circus or whatever, but a lot of the assumptions that we've made in this offseason and before were proven true in week 1. And we're gonna start with that right now. Around the NFL, it's a thing we did last year. We kind of go through each team quickly and talk about it. So is there anything else you want to say on the Eagles front before we go to around the NFL?
Yeah, real quick, Zach. Jonathan Gannon defensively started out slow, but Zach, you're right. The red zone stops. I like to see you lock down when needed to. As the game picked up, the defense got better. I like it. Offensive line needs to tighten up the little ticky tack mistakes. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first week, I could not talk about Justin Jefferson, and I'm upset about it. Oh man.
And I have him in fantasy. But before we do get to around the NFL, the ultimate debate, Gavin, funny enough, brings it up essentially in the Justin Jefferson Jalen Reagor debate. Not a debate there, but Howard Roseman,
Thank you.
in the offseason had a lot of issues to deal with. There was a lot of turmoil in this front office. I'm not sure if you remember, Gavin, but I do know that I said this on the show. The Eagles don't have back-to-back bad seasons. And I talked about the Andy Reid firing. Chip Kelly was good that year. The next year was good. Year after that, all falls apart. Gets fired. Doug Peterson comes in mediocre year, then good. And then last year was bad for the Eagles. They fire and bring in Nick Sirianni. Jeffrey Lurie has a proven track record now, moving on to his fourth coaching hire to right the ship quickly. And Howie Roseman to back it up. Howie Roseman built a top 10 defense in the offseason. Howie Roseman found Kenneth Gainwell. Howie Roseman finessing out Devontae Smith after messing up last year and the year before, we know. He also brought in a backup plan in case the quarterback didn't work. How many GMs in the league are capable of that? And finally, that Carson Wentz is off the team, and I can throw away my blinders for it. And yes, I was very clearly a bias towards Carson Wentz last year. You don't draft a quarterback in the second round. There's no concerns about your first one. As a matter of fact, our Twitter has that exact thing. I'm going to find it while we're discussing it. But I'm going to say this. Howie Roseman deserves a lot of credit. And yes, he cleaned up some of his mess, but he's not the reason that Carson regressed. He's not the reason that Alshon Jeffrey was displeased, things like that. Those players started having issues of their own. But I will say this, and I'll continue to push this. Howie Roseman might not be the best when it comes to a first go at it, but dang it, this Eagles team and this front office bounced back very quickly. And just real quick to confirm, you do not draft a quarterback in the second round unless you have some concerns about your current one. So 924 of 20. So I think Howie Roseman deserves a lot of credit right now because you just went from a displeased quarterback. Instead of tanking for a year, you now might have your franchise quarterback. Someone deserves credit for that, Gavin. Someone does.
See, I can come up on here and be that guy where I'm going to bring up the countless mistakes, draft picks. Andre Dillard looks like to be the next one.
Well, Dillard got hurt and just lost the job. I wouldn't. He was good when he was in.
But Zach, that's another guy that you can kind of chalk in there and say, well, you could have had somebody else. And did you think of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who I can't remember if he's on the team or not. I think
he is.
He is. And then
he made it over Fulgham somehow.
And then you could come in and it's just one of those things that certainly he did bounce back. I will admit, all right, that this was looking to be a disastrous year, but it looks like there's a chance. Now, me and you, we lost our minds when the Eagles traded that pick away. Zach, I think more me than you, where they go from 6 to, what was that, 13 to
back. And the Eagles are, hold on, you can continue on your account.
Back in the top 10 to get Devontae Smith, who was the obvious pick. Congratulations. You did the obvious thing, which is pick who you should have got.
12th best. The Eagles are the 12th best salary cap right now in the league. They were 31 in the beginning of the offseason. But yes, continued. They made the trade. They have an extra first. They may have 3 first-round picks next year, Gavin.
I don't know. Jack,
I'm sorry. There's a lot of good things that happened in this offseason. We knew this was possible. It's about how they played on the field. They have Miami's first-round pick next year. It could be middle of the road. It could be towards the bottom. The Eagles' first-round pick is going to be middle of the road. Could be towards the bottom or towards the top, either way. And the Colts' first-round pick is very much in play right now. We're going to talk about that in the Around the NFL segment. But, Gavin, Howie Roseman has made a lot of mistakes, but the bottom line is they won a Super Bowl a few years ago. He got somewhat immunity, and he's now making up for it to an extent. He has a ways to go, but he's not going in the opposite direction. I'm sure we can both agree on that at the very least.
He's dug himself out of his hole, Zach. I'm going to give him some flowers today, Zach. It's been the first time in, a year and a half since I gave this man any props. I like what I saw this offseason. Now that I've seen it on the field and what it looks like, keep it up. Let's be smart about how we do things from here on out. I'm serious. And I hope that the Dickerson kid from Alabama, when it's his time to go, I hope he's ready to step up. because that was another big pick he made this draft.
Big bet. Tore both his ACLs in college. Unfortunate, but we'll see. We're going to continue to see how this rolls out for the Eagles. Actually, surprisingly, I was shocked by this. The Eagles last year going into the season were 25.9 years of age. This year they're 25. I thought there would have been a bigger drop. It didn't, but I think they just brought in a lot of younger guys and balanced them out with some veterans. This is a good roster, Gavin. They're one veteran wide receiver. What I'd say. I mean, Jalen Hurts has to prove himself still. He has not proven himself. No, he hasn't. It's been 1 week. Last year it's thrown out the window. But the bottom line is that if Hurts proves himself, the O-line stays healthy, and you get a veteran wide receiver, we can talk about January. But we're very, very far from there right now.
Zach, hold on. Can we get to October first before we talk about January?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a long way to go, but they're constructing a roster that I see similar to some teams that have come out and been able to put a nice roster together and be able to go on some nice runs. There's a lot of work to do. I'm going to continue to be realistic, try to keep us close to the ground. The Philadelphia Eagles play next Sunday at 1 o'clock against the San Francisco 49ers in Philadelphia. I'll be in attendance, of course. First time back in my regular season seats in almost 2 years. With that being said, Gavin, around the NFL, go around all the teams, just say a few words about each game. If it does create a debate or any other bold takes, we will get to it, of course. Let's start with it. Cowboys, Buccaneers. Micah could be a game changer. 31 points is a lot, but the Cowboys defense looked a lot better so far than it did last year. I expect the Cowboys defense to continue to improve. Credit Dak Prescott. Offense looks pretty good, but typical Cowboys break at the end of the game, some injuries and some off-season stuff happening as well. So we don't know how that's going to change this week coming up. And then, of course, last but not least, Ezekiel Elliott continues to be inefficient despite being paid quite a lot of money. Gavin, anything to say on this game?
I got 2 quick points. Zach, Dak looks sharp. I'm just going to come out and say he looks sharp. Zach, we saw the interception. It was a tip interception. I don't know. But he looked sharp for a person that had that horrific injury. And finally, $90 million is a lot for a new left tackle, Zach. $90 million left tackle. That's who they have in the backfield.
Pretty much. I came and blocked that well. Next game on our list, Seattle and Indy. It's not Carson's fault. I'm still going to be defending him. No, I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, a lot of Indianapolis media after the game, from what I read, Carson Wentz had himself a fair debut, 2 really good touchdown passes, apparently looked a little bit fragile mobile-wise, possibly because of recovering from the foot. A lot of what I read was there was a lot of trouble on the offensive line. It's against the Seattle team. I got to watch some of the film. I'm curious if it really was the O-line or Carson just taking some time to throw it. Also just breaking down some of the other stats from that side of the ball. There was a point where they went for it on 4th down when it was 21-16, I think, or something like that, and it would have been 21-19, or I think something along those lines. It would have been close here, but Frank Reich went for it. They did not finish it. Carson Wentz, his final stat line, 25 of 38, 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Did fumble, a QB sneak, classic Carson Wentz. And then where they lost the game, I'd say offensively, Jonathan Taylor had 17 carries just for 56 yards. That's a 3.3 yards per attempt. Not really where they wanted to be. And Taylor and Himes also led in overall receptions, so another concern for them. But on the other side of the ball, Russell Wilson, 4 touchdowns, 254 yards. I don't know if they're legit yet. Seattle always starts out hot. I can't tell you till week 8 if they're going to be good or not.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Keep Carson Wentz upright. The man is fragile. Zach, you ever seen those when you're driving the road, oversized load, fragile, all that stuff, fragile package when they drop it up in the front of your house and they still throw it on the steps anyway? Zach, that's what he is. Fragile. And the defense of the Colts, they have a lot of work to do. The secondary looked distraught this past weekend.
Yes, a team that was the number 2-3 ranked defense last year, struggling against Seattle here. Next game, an AFC South battle, Jaguars-Texans. Back to college. Urban Meyer will never be cut out to be an NFL coach. Jacksonville continues to prove why it's a terrible franchise. Trevor Lawrence had promising moments. It is the worst roster in the league, youngest roster as well. So give them time. But Houston will not win a lot of games this year. Tyrod Taylor, go out there, put on a show, make teams regret not ever giving you a chance. But it was not much to see from Houston this week. They played well, but Jacksonville's just that bad.
This is not the ACC, and this is sure so not the Big Ten. And you're going to learn that quickly, Urban Meyer. Trevor Lawrence. Zach, I mean, there was a pass where Trevor Lawrence rolls to his right and throws to his left. You can get away with that with playing against those trash ACC teams. So try it against a better defense in Texas. That's all I gotta say. Just try it.
That's a common one with rookies. Common mistake with them. Next game on our list: Chargers and Washington. Don't buy hype on Washington. They had a lot of hype coming into the year. It's not there. The offense is not good. Defense is good. Coaching is all right. I don't know if they're going to get Cam. I don't know if he fits the scheme or not. Heineke kind of looks promising-ish. But Washington is still a team that's not able to make that next jump. Justin Herbert was pretty good. I have him in fantasy. Did not have a great stat on a lot of rushing touchdowns, not a lot of scoring, but great defense. Good start for the Chargers.
Justin Herbert's the MVP. Is going to be MVP this year. I said it. That's my dark horse MVP, my long shot. If he continues to and win games, that's bold. Sorry, that's bold. I'll come out and say it.
Second-year quarterback, though. Second-year quarterback.
Major step. I like what I saw. They came out firing all cylinders. I wanted to clean up some of the mistakes. And Zach, that was against the Washington defense. He'll have a better game next this Sunday or Saturday.
Well, a lot of people had Washington win this game. To travel to the East Coast is not an easy task, but they got it done, all things considered. Next game, Steelers-Bills. What was that? That is my second biggest shocker of the week, maybe third biggest, but that was a big shocker. Pittsburgh's D is elite. Their offense is stale and broken, same as last year. They'll be a playoff team again. They'll be a wild card team, but they'll lose in the first round, maybe second round. But Big Ben's got to retire at some point. It's the same story as last year, but they'll win games, and that's been my argument the whole time. They took down Buffalo, which is going to be a good team this year.
Josh Allen looked average. That's it. He looked average. Zach, he wasn't doing nothing phenomenal. I get it's week one, but week one last year, this guy was throwing touchdown pass and running. And Stephon Diggs looked great. I don't see it this year.
All right, yeah, quite interesting. We're going to see how that continues to roll out for Buffalo in a division that's getting tougher. Every team in it, I'd say, is somewhat competitive. Miami's competitive. New England's obviously competitive. Buffalo's competitive, but they got a task ahead of them. And it's been a minute since we've been on camera. But the Jets, of course, are a team that's going to be beat up on a lot this year. But the other three teams are competitive. So Buffalo's got to hold on. Next game, 49ers and Lions. Just a quick prop, 41-33 final score, of course. Super Bowl score. All I have to say is system. Kyle Shanahan, you can plug in whatever quarterback you want. If he's committed and that team is healthy, they're going to be scary good. But props to Jared Goff, who did not look terrible at all in that Lions system.
Zach, bite some kneecaps, right? That's the meta we're rolling with Detroit. Bite some kneecaps, in the words of Dan Campbell. They bit some kneecaps. They came up short, Zach. Detroit's going to be a team to watch out for. It's not going to be winning division. I don't like Jared Goff that much because there's a lot of turnovers with the ball. But the San Francisco 49ers defense is not what it used to be.
Yeah, 33 points dropped on them. We'll see this week against Philly. But next game on our list, Vikings-Bengals. I can see it. A coach that comes from Sean McVay has had a tough start. Joe Mixon was very slept on this offseason. He continues to put up the good numbers he has in his career. Joe Burrow was the number one overall pick for a reason. The Bengals might make the playoffs this year. They're going to be above 500. I don't know if that's good enough to make the playoffs as of right now, but I think they're going to be 9-8, possibly 10-7. They've got some of the pieces put together. T. Higgins, who I think got an injury this week, but is back. Jamar Chase, concerns about dropping the ball. 50-yard touchdown in his first game, over 100 yards passing, receiving. And their defense looks improved. They've been spending money. Congratulations to Cincinnati. It's an attractive destination. It's a pretty city. It's not as terrible as people make it sound. They might be moving in the right direction. On Minnesota's side, they'll be fine. Everybody relax. But they're not going to be as good as people may have thought they would be.
In the LSU Bowl, Zach, because that's why I really looked at this as the LSU Bowl, Justin Jefferson versus his two former teammates. Joe Burrow looked good. Keep him healthy, and I'll make it short and sweet on Minnesota. Free Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins is terrible. That's it. That's all I got to say. And he'll continue to show why.
Next game on our list, easy, quick revenge. Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson, beat the Jets. Close game. Panthers are still pretty far off of being a good team. Zach Wilson looked interesting, had bright spots, had not so bright spots. It's a start for a evolving franchise in the Jets. But this is a pretty boring game. Didn't watch it that much. Not much going on there.
Jets fans, relax. Zach Wilson will be good. It was just the first game. He picked it up in the second half. I'm excited to see more Zach.
Next game, Cardinals, Titans. Finally catching up. Derrick Henry, 2,000 yards last year, 1,800 or so the year before. It's finally catching up. He won't be able to carry the load. Julio Jones got himself in a little bit of trouble this weekend. Mike Vrabel did not like some of the behaviors that he had. But props to the Cardinals. Chandler Jones, 4 sacks.
5.
Incredible. 5 sacks. Absolutely incredible there. Kyler Murray fading away. Touchdown pass. Incredible. Christian Kirk, AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, all adding really good to it. Cliff Kingsbury, comes down to you. A lot of criticism when he got hired. But competitive division. Let's see what they can do this year in the NFC West. Arizona Cardinals 138-13 over the Tennessee Titans.
Zach, you could say the same thing for both teams. Cool. Okay, cool. Same story. Zach, Kyler Murray is going to make these highlight plays. All right, cool. What does that mean at the end of the season? And Zach, the Tennessee defense is still not that good. You got anybody on your offense, Tennessee defense still isn't that good.
Yes, that's another area that they have to continue to look at. Yeah, same stories. Titans lost a few bad games last year. Not much to overreact about. I still like Tennessee to win the South. Next game, Browns-Chiefs. Same old Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is 6-0 in his last 6 regular season games where he's trailed by double digits. That is an incredible stat for a team like that. Baker Mayfield threw a late interception. I wouldn't entirely blame it on him trying to get it out of bounds. Not a stupid decision, just a poor execution. But the punter only had 1 punt opportunity, fumbled it on it. It happens. It's unfortunate. Can't do that against a team like Kansas City. But the Browns are still a top 5, top 10 team for me. I like them a lot, and I think they're going to be fine. They just played the best team week 1.
Zach, I'm not going to speak on the Chiefs because it's Patrick Mahomes, and we know how that is. But, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. We will see the Browns in the postseason again, and this matchup will happen again. Where? I don't
possibly
know.
2-0 already for Kansas City in it. Next game on our list, Dolphins-Patriots. I sell high on Tua. He looked all right in this game. Nothing too special. Jalen Waddle had a good start. Overall, just a close game. 2 late fumbles by New England kept them from winning the game. I'm a big fan of Brian Flores, big fan of what they're doing down there in Miami. Those 2 teams will be a very fun competition to watch. The Dolphins will beat every team worse than them this year. It's just about hanging with the big guys, see how they can do it, and that will decide if they go to the playoffs. They were 10-6 last year, missed the playoffs. But overall, pretty good showing right there for Miami's defense, especially. Good showing for Mac Jones, too. There's a lot to look forward to in this matchup in the future.
Mac Jones looked great, Zach. The 2 fumbles cost him the game. Zach, I actually do believe Mac Jones is actually going to go throw a game-winning touchdown drive, or game-winning touchdown drive, Tom Brady style at the end of the game. Sadly caught fumble, but he'll be fine. And Zach, on the Dolphins side of the ball, all eyes are on you, Tua. We're waiting. We're watching. We're waiting because the fate of Deshaun Watson decides the fate of your job too.
Quite possibly. They have the assets to pull off a trade if necessary. Broncos, Giants. Ha, ha, ha. Broncos aren't good. Teddy looked all right. Melvin Gordon looked pretty good. They're not going to be too good this year. The defense is good. The Giants are just people thought they were going to be good this year. Joe Judge was questioning the Eagles about how to play the game of football. They went 6-10 last year. They'll do it again this year. Giants aren't good. Won't be for a while. I'm ready to say Daniel Jones is not the answer, but the O-line also has not improved. In 5 years, how do you not improve your O-line? It's an embarrassment. They've flopped on a few picks. Eric Flowers, Andrew Thomas, a couple other picks have just not panned out for them. So they're trying, but just can't catch a break in New York. But, oh well. Giants are not good. They won't be good this year, and Joe Judge will not ever lead that team to the playoffs. He'll be fired before anything like that happens.
Now, is it 40 turnovers for Daniel Jones in, 20?
38 in 20-some games.
I mean, Zach, you get him Kenny Golladay, you have Sterling Shepard, you get Saquon Barkley back, you got Evan Ingram, but you still can't hold on to the ball, huh, Danny?
Saquon did not have a good week either as well, for his official stats, but some concerns for that O-line if Saquon Barkley can't.
I mean, Zach, you can't make this up. I mean, you go out and get the guy. I mean, every day you give him
10 carries, 26 yards, 2.6 yards per carry. That's just bad for a player that has high expectations for Barkley. That team's got a lot of fixing to do. Jason Garrett's got some work to do on that offense, but I don't know how it's going to look this year. But it's not a good start for New York at all.
Zach, I mean, it's funny. I'm sorry. Excuse me for laughing, but Zach, on the Denver side, cool. You won. You're not the best team in the division. You actually might be the worst team in that division. But steady Teddy Bridgewater will win you some games. So to watch it.
Game manager, let's see if they can put it together. Unfortunately, an injury this weekend to Jerry Jeudy. Fortunately, it is not as bad as it initially looked. High ankle sprain, he'll be out 6 to 8 weeks, which is still substantial time. But at first, still looked like it was potentially season ending. All right, we got 3 games left to go. All 3 I have a bold take for. Start with Packers Saints. I was right. Aaron Rodgers is a horrible teammate, and it's because he's not playing well now. It is now being noticed and pointed out to him. They'll be fine. They'll make the playoffs. They might make the Super Bowl. They might win the Super Bowl. I don't know at this point. But Aaron Rodgers is not a good teammate at all. Gavin, I know we say a lot. You can't judge someone if you don't know him personally. But I called this last year, and now it's starting to bleed through. I mean, Aaron Rodgers went out there and said a couple weeks ago, players aren't coming to Green Bay for the weather. They're coming for me. But who went there? I was thinking that. I'm like, you're right, Rodgers. Like, you know what? That's a good point. You're not going to Green Bay because it's a great, large industrial city. I've been there. It's a cool city, but it's not L.A. It's not Inglewood. It's not Miami. It's not Tampa.
New York.
It doesn't have the energy of New York or Philly. Dare I say Chicago and a couple other cool places that are even Detroit, which is metropolitan. Like, it's not like Cincinnati. I just said Cincinnati. It's a cool city. It's not Vegas. It's Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Aaron Rodgers, you're right. They're going there to play with you. But who went there? Name one notable player, one notable free agent that said, you know what? Let me go to Green Bay and play with Aaron Rodgers. We talk about Tom Brady being the GOAT all the time. I know, Gavin, we feel a little bit indifferent about this. I do think he's very easily undisputed the GOAT. I don't care what anyone says about the defense and all. He recruits guys to play with him. Basketball, it's different. We can talk about that. We disagree on that course of direction. But recruitment in football is vital because it's truly an all-around team sport. Tom Brady can't play 22 positions. Can't do it. All right, and Antonio Brown gets off the streets after being a complete knucklehead for a year, 2 years. And look at him. He stayed out of trouble. I'm proud of him. I'm glad he's coming out. Gavin, you talked about 2 years ago. He's disrespecting a lot of people and encouraging stereotypes because of his poor behavior. But he's been on his best behavior these last 2 years, as far as we know. Leonard Fournette, who can get in trouble sometimes. Mike Evans won it out at one point. Chris Godwin was talking about being on the trade block 2 years ago. All that's been shut up. Yes, they're winning games, but Tom Brady's behind all of that. All these guys come there. Rob Gronkowski came there with him. Who has Aaron Rodgers recruited? Congratulations, you got Devontae Adams back. I'm sorry, Randall Cobb. You got Randall Cobb back. Congratulations. You already had the best wide receiver in the league. They will take hot garbage on Sunday. They will take hot garbage. The coach and Rodgers have not gotten along at all during this relationship. The fact that they made it to back-to-back NFC championships is nothing shy of impressive. Rodgers, for at least the next decade before Mahomes surpasses him, will probably go down as the most talented quarterback of all time. But I said this a year and a half ago. He's a head case. I apologized for it. But I wasn't wrong. I apologized because he was playing well and it allowed you to forget about that. Winning fixes everything. Go watch The Last Dance. Winning fixes everything. It really does. But right now, in this moment, it'll be true this year. I'm not apologizing this time. Aaron Rodgers might be talented. They might win some games with him. They will win games with him. They will probably win their division. They should win their division. He's a head case.
It was like you go to Green Bay to get some cheese, right? Isn't that the best?
Cheese curds, yeah, they're good. They are really good. They have some of the best French onion soup there that I've ever had. And Gavin, you know how much I love my French onion soup.
Yeah. But all jokes aside, it's like I looked at Aaron Rodgers and we were talking about on Sunday, and I asked what the game was on. I didn't know the game was on, and when I turned the game on, Zach, it just looked like Aaron Rodgers didn't care. He didn't care. He checked out because at the end of this season, he's gone. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what Matt LaFleur has to say. He knows Devontae Adams will go wherever he goes because Zach, Devontae Adams has a contract unless they paid him. I don't think they did. And Zach, you're right. No one's ever went to Green Bay to go to Green Bay. And actually, no one ever went to Green Bay to begin with. And it's like, this is not the first time that we heard that Aaron Rodgers being a bad guy, a bad teammate. This came back a couple years ago. A couple years ago when Mike McCarthy was at the helm. So, Zach, I'm not surprised. I'm a little bit disappointed because I can no longer make you apologize for it. So, but Jameis Winston looked really well. That's all I got to say.
Yes, that's true. Saints looked well. Jameis Winston, less than 150 yards, 5 touchdowns. Everyone around him did their job, took the pressure off him, had LASIK eye surgery 2 years ago. Maybe that's why he threw so many picks. It'll be fun to watch the Saints. I got to be honest. Michael Thomas will be out for a little more, but when Thomas comes back and they got some guys there now, don't look now, but the Saints are going to be good, and it's going to be a smooth transition from Drew Brees to him. Next game on our list, the Bears and the Rams. Can we just take a minute to acknowledge how happy we are for Matthew Stafford? I mean, the guy looks he threw that touchdown to Van Jefferson, which the Bears, all you had to do was touch him and he was down. Stafford's high stepping down the field. He was having the time of his life. He's finally in a place where he can play well. His buddy Clayton Kershaw's in town, where they went to high school together. I mean, this is just a match made in heaven. They're an incomplete team right now, but they've already made it to the Super Bowl before with Jared Goff. So I have confidence they can get back there with ease. I think they're going to be a great team this year, probably best defense again this year. They spend a lot of money. They do it very unconventionally. They don't draft at all right now. They have shipped all of their draft capital to everywhere in their mother. I'm pretty sure we have LA Ram first-round draft picks on the show. But they're a good team. They're going to be a great team this year. I'm happy for them. And the Bears, the same old Bears. The schemes are god-awful. Matt Nagy should not have a job. Ryan Pace should not have a job. And Justin Fields should be starting. That's all I have about Chicago. Very disappointed that they're making the same mistakes for the third year in a row.
Well, Zach, I don't know if you know this, but I'm part of the Matthew Stafford fan club. Okay, I've been for a couple of years. It's been rough because of Matthew Stafford, and it was in Detroit.
I had them winning the division last year. I said on the show because I had faith in Matt Stafford.
I didn't have faith in anyone else around him. But Zach, the reason I'm part of the Matthew Stafford fan club is because 1 year in fantasy, it was him and Calvin Johnson that took me to the championship where I won, actually. So I thank him for that. So I'm part of the Matthew Stafford fan club. But it looked fun. That offense is going to open up. Zach, they need a pure running back so to solidify, and then we could talk about the January for them. But they will be there. We don't know how far. We're going to see. And Zach, I just want to go real quick. Did you see Justin Fields threw a pass on the 5-yard line, right? The 5-yard line, he threw a pass. Beautiful strike, by the way. Couldn't turn around and do anything else with it, the receiver. And then Andy Dalton steps back, fires, and throws it right to a Rams defender. I mean, you can't make this up. You really can't make this up. But Andy Dalton says he will have a great career, but it's my time to shine. Andy, you had CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott and couldn't put points up. You lost to a guy in Kyler Murray who only completed 9 passes versus you that game. Oh, and by the way, Zach, this is the Andy Dalton that had a healthy AJ Green and a Jeremy. I'm going way back for this one, Zach. A Jeremy Hill and a Giovanni Bernard, and when the Cincinnati Bengals were actually winning games in the AFC North. You remember what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about when I say that? With Devontae Burfict and Adam Jones and the crew, where they were actually good, and Marvin Lewis was there and he couldn't win a playoff game. So I don't want to hear nothing about Andy Dalton. For my thing is, Andy Dalton is garbage. Andy Dalton is hot trash. Andy Dalton shouldn't have got another job in the first place. And Justin Fields is not starting. I want Justin Fields to request a trade. I want Matt Nagy to be fired off the face of the earth. And I want Ryan Pace to never see another job a day in his life that revolves around the game of football. This is unexcusable. Andy Dalton sucks. He sucks. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse my language. I'm going to come out and say it. I'm a real person. Zach, you know how I am. If I see someone that's really garbage, I'm going to come out and say it. He is bad. Now, you can look at the stat line and say, well, he completed this many passes, 20 yards, and 1 interception. Yeah, that's good for Andy Dalton's status, but it didn't win him a game, did it? It didn't.
No, it didn't. And, the Bears, I've said this before, they're broken. Their schemes are literally don't make sense at all. So, with that being said, just real quick, some interesting news. Colin Cowherd every week releases herd hierarchy, top 10 teams. The Rams are 1 on his list. The Seahawks are 3. The Niners are 7. The Cardinals are 8. All 4 of them. All 4 of those teams in the NFC West. Number 2 is the Chiefs.
Okay, I should have figured.
And 4 is the Buccaneers. So, yeah, again, it's too early for power rankings. I'm not too obsessed with that yet. We'll start going over power rankings, I think, week 4, week 5 with a better idea after some teams play their schedule. The final game of week 1. Oh, no. It's not a surprise to me. The Ravens start out slow every year, and the Raiders start out fast. The Raiders are going to – I don't think they're going to the playoffs again. We've seen this story every year. Lamar Jackson, 19 of 30, 235, a touchdown, 12 carries, 86 yards. They're trying to get a running back. They're trying to establish that. Sammy Watkins looked pretty damn good, 96 yards on 4 catches, 24 yards average. Tyson Williams came out of nowhere to look good. Mark Andrews not really that big of a factor. And then on the Raiders side, 435 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick for Derek Carr. Josh Jacobs at 34 yards on the ground, not too much to do, but 2 touchdowns. Marcus Mariota, a 31-yard rush, so quite interesting. Kenyon Drake, who was a big pass catcher. Darren Waller continued to look good. It's an underrated offense, but there's some work to do for them, I think. And just a great game to watch, a really exciting game to watch. Just a couple of things did not go the Ravens' way, but the Ravens were definitely the better team last night. Overall, they're just trying to get their running game established. Losing J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards for the whole season is going to be a killer, and they're kind of backed up right now. So not much to take away from that game, but props to the Raiders for holding through and winning that game twice, actually, and they finally won it for real the second time.
Zach, real quick, I'll just make it short and sweet. It's going to be hard for the Ravens to win games this year when your number one and two running backs are out. Lamar Jackson looked good as a passer. I want to see it be just a little bit better. I need guys like Marquise Brown and to step up and continue to improve. Zach, we know we're not going to question Mark Andrews, what he brings to the table. But I will say this about the Raiders, on the Raiders side of things. The offensive line could use some work and they could make a play. Zach, there was always 8-8. There was always Zach, I said this last year. When the season gets up at the end of the season, when it's around week 14, week 15, and the Raiders are still in it, and then all of a sudden they just plummet, we wonder why. Zach, Darren Waller is arguably a top 5 tight end. I can make a case saying top 3, top 4, but definitely in the top 5 for sure. There's no excuse. There should be no reason why the Raiders have not made the playoffs. Your defense is young, I get it, but they're getting better at some aspects. And Derek Carr, you got to step up at some point. Show your work. And John Gruden, you got paid 10 years, $100 million, and you haven't done anything. It looked like a magical night in Vegas last night. Zach, I got to see more, though.
Yes, first game in that stadium with fans in it. Quite an interesting week overall in football. A few matchups to look forward to here this coming week. The primetime game, Thursday Night Football, Giants and Washington. Yeah, I'm not going to be watching that one. I mean, I will be, but it's not going to be fun. Just some other notable games. Of course, the Birds play the Niners. Bills and Dolphins play Rams, Colts. And then the Sunday nighter is the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Lions, Packers. Cap off the week on Monday Night Football. We'll break that all down later in the week when we're back on. But coming up after this, Big Ten shakeup. Ohio State drops an early rare loss, and Penn State has a chance this week to make a big statement win. Stay tuned for that after this.
Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this.
I've said this multiple times on multiple occasions. There are teams in college football that no matter what they do, they will not make the playoffs. Cincinnati can go perfect like they did and not make the playoffs. A&M can drop one loss and not make the playoffs. A team like Penn State every year has an opportunity to make it. All they got to do is go undefeated. Their strength of schedule every year is tough enough to do it. Same thing with Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, almost every SEC school, Auburn. So bottom line is that Penn State's undefeated at 2-0. They just beat Ball State 44-10. 44-13. They beat Wisconsin last week 16-10 in a big upset. They play the 22-ranked Auburn this week. If they win that game, they'll move up in the top, above the top 10, which are at 10 right now in the ranks. But then they play Nova, Indiana, and then the 5-ranked, as of right now, 5-ranked Iowa, October 30th, the 9th-ranked Ohio State, as of right now, 25th-ranked Michigan, and round out the year against Rutgers and Michigan State. Schedule's there for them. There are 3 games left that they would have to really pull off an upset. Ohio State still can make the playoffs, but the only teams they play that are ranked for the rest of the year is Penn State and Michigan. So Ohio State's playoff chances aren't completely out right now, but if Oregon continues to go on a roll, especially if they do end up losing to a team that's obviously worse than them, makes Ohio State look even worse. So a big upset this weekend, but a lot of credit to Oregon, credit where credit is due. Overall, in that game, 35-28 final score. Tons of props to go on the road, Oregon to Ohio State. Of course, the last home game that they lost in the Horseshoe was Baker Mayfield and the Oklahoma Sooners a couple years ago. Of course, that infamous flag planting in the middle of the O. So for Penn State fans, it looks hopeful right now. But big game this weekend against Auburn. Ohio State, not really relevant for a few weeks. They're expected to win these next few games. Tulsa, Akron, Rutgers, Maryland, Indiana, and then they put Penn State on October 30th. Penn State coming up, they have to play, like I said, Auburn, and then they have Villanova, Indiana. But before Ohio State, they have to play Iowa and Illinois. So a lot going on there. But big win for Penn State this weekend. Expected win, I'd say. And a big loss, more or less, for Ohio State as they continue. Again, the standings-wise, for those who aren't fully familiar, doesn't affect Big Ten standings this week. Penn State does have one win in it against the Wisconsin Badgers. Ohio State also has their lone win in conference. So overall, it doesn't affect the conference record. But, of course, the key thing that everybody wants to keep an eye on, especially while you're undefeated, is the playoffs. Is college football playoff top 4 teams make it? So, Gavin, some thoughts on the Penn State team, expectations against Auburn, and then, of course, the big loss for Ohio State.
Well, first of all, Zach, I want to start with the big loss for Ohio State. That edge rusher, that Oregon defense is something special. The edge rusher they have, and I think the linebacker too, was first all they were first all Pac-12 defense or one. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but those two guys are studs on that defensive front, and just on that defense in general. And it caught Ohio State by surprise. I didn't think Ohio State was really looking forward to seeing those guys. I thought they thought they can just run by and make a breeze due to the fact because of Ohio State and what they did the past couple of years. But now let's look at it from a Penn State point of view. This is the perfect time to show yourself. All right, Clifford, it's time to show out. Franklin and the crew defensively and everybody, it's time to show out. Show what you're about. Show that we are Penn State. It's like you got college game day going to be at State College. Where it's going to be at all. We got a lot of friends up there, Zach. We know, and we can name some of them that they're from the show. Our good friend Adam of the show is up there, and he's been talking to me all week about how game day is going to be and how he's going to be there, and he's going to the game. But could you just imagine Penn State beats an SEC team, and Auburn, which I know, ladies and gentlemen, they're not highly ranked, but that the SEC is
top 25. They're 22.
Exactly. That would be a lot for this program going forward, and I think a lot and going forward, especially in this year alone. Zach, and then all you have to do is be Ohio State, and what, you got Michigan in there left? I mean, we know how John Harbaugh is. He's nobody. But Zach, I will say this, and I'm not trying to come out as a Penn State hater. Clifford will let you down. It's bound to happen. It happened before a couple years ago. Zach, remember? They were in the top 5. Zach, they were in the top 5.
They were 4.
They were number 4. They were in the playoffs. All they had to do was beat Minnesota, and Zach, they couldn't do it. Could they? They couldn't do it. You had to beat Minnesota, and you most likely go into the playoffs, and maybe you get stomped out by Alabama or somebody. But you're in the playoffs. You're in the where everybody wants to be, but you couldn't do it. So I'm not going to get my hopes too high, Zach. I mean, it will go a long way. You can win this weekend. I think they should win this weekend. But just know, I've seen Clifford under pressure before, and it has not. And it's right now, history is not in his favor. He's 0-1 when there's a big time game that has big implications going forward for Penn State. So I'm gonna keep my hopes to a medium, just like I do with the Phillies.
Yes. Year 3 as the successor to Trace McSorley. It's going to be an interesting run. We're going to see how it continues to fan out. Big game this week, and then there won't be a one for a few weeks. So they got to get the job done. So we'll keep an eye on college football, keep an eye on some of the rankings in that. But coming up after this, the final topic of today's show, the Philadelphia Phillies, a team that is somehow still above 500 and is all but officially out of the playoffs. Stay tuned.
We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode.
Went bold before the season started that the Phillies would make the playoffs. they've showed a lot of hope and promise, but the bottom line is, as it all stands, they're 72-71. That's not a good record. There is a but, and it's pretty slim.
No, there's not.
There is a slim. They're 4.5 back. All right, and right now they play the Cubs for 3 straight games. You got to sweep, and if they don't sweep, I'm officially done. But until then, right now the Braves have the Rockies, which is an easy series for them. But then they have the Giants, and then they have the Padres, and then they have the Phillies. The Phillies at the moment have the Cubs, but then they have the Mets, Orioles, Pirates, and then the Braves. That series is 3 games. All that happens is the Phillies have to be less than 3 games out when that series starts, and then they play Miami the last 3 games. They're not going to make the playoffs, but we'll entertain it while it is still here. The Mets are somehow still in the conversation, barely. But the Braves have all but put this away. Congratulations to them. Another tough year for the Phillies. They have a lot of work to do in the offseason, a lot to build upon. But I'll continue to blame this on the regression of Aaron Nola, the regression of Didi Gregorius, the regression of Alec Boehm. And I'll throw another one out there, which I never thought I would say before. Gavin, what felt like the number one priority in the offseason for the Phillies? What player did everybody want them to re-sign?
JT Realmuto. We screamed about it every day.
Biggest mistake of the offseason. And I love JT. And he's close to the best catcher in baseball. But Marchand is pretty good, defensively at least. If you knew you had a guy like that, instead of wasting your money on JT, where in history it's always proven the money you spend for the catcher, there's no correlation with that in winning games. They could have went out and got themselves some more pitching. They could have went out and got themselves some more offense. And they could have done a lot better off for it. So, end of the day, we all wanted it. At the time, it felt like the right decision, but that's going to hurt us for a couple years down the road. But I said before, the World Series window is these 5 years that JT's here. And Bryce Harper is pretty close to the favorite, if not the favorite right now for MVP. Fernando Tatis has gotten quiet, as the Padres have. I'm going to look up National League odds for MVP. He might win MVP and they might not make the playoffs. That's pretty sad. That's a big waste right now for the year. Tatis is still the favorite at minus 250. Harper plus 350. It's a waste. It's a big waste. Aaron Nola is not good. Wheeler has for the most part cleaned up his act since his little meltdown in late August. Gibson tonight needs to prove something. Ranger Suarez is your ace right now. Why Joe Girardi chose to go with a bullpen game against a Rockies team that they needed to beat, I don't know. Girardi might be on his way out too. I think the pitching coach needs to be out because the philosophies that he is using are not working for our starting pitching. We need soft contact. Ranger Suarez is doing it. Nola's got to stop being such a precise guy because he's not going to overpower you. Soft contact is the way. Nola can be fixed, but this season has been a mess for them. I'd like to see them finish above 500, but they've been mediocre. This is their 4th year of being a right-in-the-middle team with no big major improvements whatsoever.
You were there on Friday, right? This is real quick. 10-2, right?
Yes, it was very ugly. And those 2 runs were in the 9th inning for the Phillies.
You know what the sad thing is, ladies and gentlemen, is this man right here. I was excited when I heard that he was going to a game because you know what? Not only because he's my friend and I wish him a great time, but because every time he goes, they win. I was on record saying, we need to figure a way to get Zach to go to every game for the rest of the year, whether it's home or away. Figure it out financially, probably do it somehow, some way. Just get a sponsor or somebody. Zach, that doesn't matter. All right, 10-2 when you were there. I mean, what do you want me to say, man? I mean, look, you can't beat the bad teams. The Rockies are one of the worst away teams this year. The worst away team this year. And they come into your house. Zach, they come into your house, take their shoes off, put their feet on your coffee table, and tell you to go make them a sandwich in your house. And the only thing you got to say for is, can you at least use a coaster? That's the only thing you had to say because like, they only got one game. And it wasn't put a coaster under your drink. It was, can you please do it? Because they ran your house. And you got a series versus the Cubs. I don't care if it's home or away. It doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't matter. This team is a disgrace. JT DiRomito is garbage. Didi Gregorius is hot trash. And Alec Bum, Zach, new one. Alec Bum, not Boom, Bum, B-U-M. It's awful. Awful. And I'm a Joe Girardi fan, and I continue to defend Joe Girardi, but Zach, I don't know anymore. I really don't know if I can do that anymore. I mean, this man, time and time again, has made wrong decisions at crucial points when we needed him to be the New York Joe Girardi. I mean, come on, man. This is a guy getting outrageous. Zach, you laughed at me a couple weeks ago when I said, you know what, I'm about to become in this baseball off season, this winter. I might be a free agent as well. I might be a free agent as well because I can't take another year of this. I really can't. It was cool in the summertime last year. We had to watch 60 games of this garbage, but we got to watch 162 games of this garbage. And guess what? It's like it got worse. And then this is cruel, ladies and gentlemen. This is really cruel. Zach, you know what they did to us? And you were there for it when you went to 3 games. Hold on, we're going to win. Let's take sole possession in first place. Zach, they had me watching the game from start to finish. And you know I don't do that. I never watch a game from start to finish. I turn on in the middle of the innings because I can't bear to watch the start of the game. And because, Zach, you know what? And it has me stuttering. And you know it is bad if it has me stuttering. This team is, I don't know. Zach, I said everything in the book. I made insults to the former manager. I've said everything I could say about the pitching. I've done said anything I could say about the fans and how old and young we were when the last time they won. I don't care no more. I really don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, you wanna know why the teams like the Dodgers, and I know the Yankees are struggling, but the Yankees and the Padres are good, and teams like the Reds and the Braves they just know how to win. They can beat up on all the bad teams. And we're a team that has one of the highest payrolls. Zach, I can't remember if it's the highest, or I think it's up there for payrolls.
5th highest payrolls of Philly.
Highest payrolls. You would think, well, you pay all these people all this money. Don't you think you should be winning games? No, ladies and gentlemen, if you just want to get paid and not have to win, just come here. Just come here. That's the meta. Just come here. Bryce Harper's MVP, sure, don't care. Doesn't mean nothing to me. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Tired. I'm sick and tired of this, Zach. I really am.
I'd say rightfully so. I think it's been a tough year altogether for this team. Inconsistent. I'll leave it on this as we wrap up. 2 things to say. 30 blown saves for the Phillies. And the first team to clinch a playoff spot, their manager, Gabe Kapler. We'll end on that one, I guess. But in all seriousness, thank you, Ray, for watching us.
Hold on. Sorry.
I'm sure has a couple other things. I'm just getting a rundown here on sports.
Real quick. I know, real quick. But as you pull up your final notes, Ian Kennedy, what does he do? Ladies and gentlemen, Ian Kennedy stinks. Go spend money on a real ace. Matt Klenchak, you said you wanted to spend money on a real, or excuse me, not Matt Klenchak. John Milton, you said you wanted to spend money on spend stupid money. Yeah, you spent stupid money, right, on stupid players that can't win. Why am I losing my anger at this, Zach? I don't care. I really don't care. All right, go ahead, Zach.
It's frustrating, very frustrating team this year.
Wrap it up, Zach.
As per usual, but it's the same story written over and over again. Tonight on the mound is Kyle Gibson, who had a strong start here in Philly. Everything's fallen off. I think the turning point was that rain delay against the Dodgers when the Phillies were coming off of a sweep with the Mets. Nola looked lights out. Rain delay came, ended up losing that game, losing that series. But yeah, Phillies, another blown year for them. But let's not be distracted from the Padres, who have also spent stupid money and have an MVP, and also will likely miss the playoffs slightly above 500. So
but they've been
Phillies aren't alone. The Phillies aren't alone, but this is their 4th year doing it.
Zach, real quick, I just want to say this, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but Zach, when I say this, you probably understand. We should put them in Cowboys uniforms, like match Phillies logo with like a little star somewhere on it, because that's what they are. Wait, they won't let you down. Get your and then next thing you know, just every year.
Yes, and this will be the 10th season missed of the playoffs.
We
for
are
the
in
Phillies
college now, ladies and gentlemen.
when it's all said and done. With that being said, again, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll keep an eye on the Phillies. Let's see if they can do something, but there's not a lot of confidence, as you can tell from us. But the Eagles won this weekend. Sixers, Flyers news we'll continue to cover in the next coming weeks.
I'm not done with you, boy. I'm not done with you.
As John Wall's now predicted to be on the trade market, we'll see if anything happens there. If the Sixers make a move, I'm not a fan of it, but I did see an interesting trade that would be a 3-team trade between the Spurs, Blazers, and Sixers that would put DeJounte Murray and CJ McCollum on the Sixers. It would come at the expense of, I think, either Tyrese Maxey or Matisse Thybulle, Ben Simmons, and some picks.
Not a fan.
It might be the best offer you can get, but we'll talk about that here later in the week. We have a special guest likely coming and joining us on Thursday. Stay tuned for some more exciting updates here throughout the week. Thank you again for everyone to join us today on the More Than Philly Sports Network. We appreciate you all for the continued support. We'll continue to provide some of the best content we can in the sports world. Thank you again, and have a great, great day.
Have a good one, everybody. Don't watch the Phillies. Boycott them. Boycott them. Seriously.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post extra